Welcome to Dark Taboo Stories, the podcast that ventures into the unknown, the forbidden, and the unsettling corners of the human experience. Each week, we uncover the tales that society shies away from, stories that challenge our perceptions, evoke uncomfortable truths, and leave us questioning everything we thought we knew. From unsolved mysteries to controversial topics, these are the stories no one talks about until now. Dark Taboo Stories isn't for the faint of heart. So, if you're ready to explore the darker side of life, to confront the unspoken, and to embrace the strange, then settle in. The shadows are waiting, and so are the stories. This is Dark Taboo Stories. Let's begin.
The walls of the dingy motel room closed in around her as the young student, Rachel, lay on the stained bed, her body trembling with a mix of pain and fear. She had chosen this place, far from the prying eyes of her parents and the judgmental whispers of her small town, to have an abortion. The procedure had been swift, the doctor a mere silhouette behind the surgical mask, their eyes cold and unfeeling. Rachel had hoped that once it was over, the weight of her secret would dissipate into the stale air of the motel. But it remained, a heavy burden on her soul that she feared would never leave her. What happened next was a series of moments that played out in the starkness of the room. Rachel's hand hovered over the phone, her fingers poised to dial the number she had committed to memory. The number of the man who had gotten her into this mess. The man who had promised to be there for her, to support her through it all, but had instead vanished as soon as he heard the word pregnant. The phone remained untouched, the silence between its receiver and cradle echoing her own internal screams. Rachel's stomach lurched as she reached for the bottle of pills, the reality of what she had just done setting in. The baby she had carried for weeks, the baby that had once filled her with joy and hope, was gone, discarded like yesterday's trash. She swallowed the bitter tablet with a dry throat, hoping it would ease the pain that seemed to radiate from her core. The clock on the nightstand ticked away the hours, each second a cruel reminder of the irreversible choice she had made. The room grew darker as the day outside bled into night, and Rachel's thoughts grew increasingly morbid. She imagined the tiny form of her unborn child, a silent scream frozen on its face as it was torn from her womb. Guilt clawed at her insides, a relentless beast that no amount of justification could quiet. Her mind reeled with questions that had no answers. What would her life have been like if she had kept the baby? Would she have been happy? Would the father have come around? Or would she have been left to raise the child alone, a constant reminder of a mistake that she could never take back? The door to the motel room creaked open, the soft click of the lock jolting Rachel from her thoughts. It was the nurse the doctor had sent to check on her. She was a kind-faced woman with eyes that spoke of a lifetime of witnessing pain and sorrow. Rachel felt a brief flicker of comfort as she entered the room, but it was quickly snuffed out by the coldness that had settled in her heart. The nurse checked her vitals, her movements efficient and practiced. Rachel stared at the wall, not bothering to hide the tears that rolled down her cheeks. The nurse offered a gentle smile and a few soothing words before she left, the door closing with a finality that made Rachel feel more alone than ever before. The night was endless, a sea of darkness that she swam through in a delirium of pain and regret. Rachel's dreams were haunted by the specter of the child she had lost, its cries echoing through her mind, a lament that would never be silenced. She woke up drenched in a cold sweat, the painkillers having worn off hours ago. The pain was a constant companion, a throbbing ache that pulsed in time with her heart. Morning brought with it a sense of urgency. Rachel knew she couldn't stay in this place of shadows and secrets. She had to return home to face the emptiness that awaited her. She gathered her belongings and took one last look at the room that held the ghosts of her past and the shattered pieces of her future. As she drove back to her town, Rachel felt as if she was traveling through a nightmare. The once familiar landmarks blurred into a landscape of judgment and recrimination. She imagined the whispers that would follow her if anyone were to discover her secret. Her tires crunched the gravel of her driveway, signaling her return to the life she had tried to escape. Rachel stepped out into the cool dawn, her legs wobbly, each breath a silent battle against the sobs that threatened to break free. Inside, her parents stirred, oblivious to the turmoil their daughter had just endured. She paused at the door, steeling herself for the charade of normalcy she knew she had to perform. She climbed the stairs, the soft padding of her feet the only sound in the stillness. Her room was a sanctuary, filled with the lingering scent of her youth and dreams, now forever marred by the shadow of the choice she had made. Her mother's voice called out, a gentle inquiry into her late return. Rachel composed herself, descending the stairs with a practiced ease. She offered a mundane excuse, one that her mother accepted with a knowing look, the kind that spoke of unspoken love and silent understanding. The days that followed were a blur of classes and homework, a facade of normalcy that Rachel clung to like a lifeline. Yet every night, the motel room's stale air returned to haunt her dreams, the cries of her unborn child a mournful echo in her heart. She avoided friends, unable to bear the weight of their unblemished futures, their innocent conversations about boyfriends and baby showers a stark contrast to her own silent grief. The weeks turned into months, and Rachel buried herself in her studies, seeking solace in the structure and predictability of academia. Yet she found no refuge from the guilt that stalked her like a shadow, a constant companion that grew heavier with each passing day. She began to isolate herself, her once vibrant spirit now a flickering ember in the vast abyss of what-ifs. One evening, as Rachel sat in the dimly lit room, the pamphlet from the motel caught her eye. With trembling hands, she read the words she had ignored before. "You are not alone. We are here for you." It was a hotline for women who had undergone abortions, offering support and counseling. Rachel picked up the phone, her heart racing. The first ring was a declaration of her pain, the second a plea for help. The voice on the other end was soft, non-judgmental. It spoke of healing and hope, of a future where the weight of her secret didn't crush her. Rachel wept, the first genuine release of emotion since that fateful day. And as she talked, the burden on her soul began to lift, ever so slightly, allowing the first sliver of light to pierce the darkness. The months ahead were a journey of healing, of learning to forgive herself and finding peace with her decision. Rachel grew stronger, her resolve to make a life of meaning and purpose a beacon in the night. The whispers of her past remained, but she faced them with newfound courage, determined not to let them define her. Years later, Rachel stood before a podium, her voice clear and strong. She shared her story with a room full of faces, each one a mirror reflecting the same pain she had felt. As a counselor and advocate for reproductive rights, she offered the support she had so desperately needed. Her words resonated, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a beacon of hope for those lost in the shadows of their own choices. Rachel had found her calling, her voice a balm for those who still struggled with the aftermath of their decisions, and in doing so, she had found a measure of peace.